From my neighborhood, you got three ways out. You could join the army, you could get mobbed up, or you could become a star.
Walk like a man, fast as I can. Walk like a man from you. I'll tell the world.
It's the story of these four guys, who are kind of from the wrong side of the tracks, in New Jersey, and it's sort of a rags to riches story about how they, defied the odds through, gambling debts and the mob and, all sorts of impediments to their rise to success, and defied the odds and became, one of the most, best-selling rock groups of all, pop music history.
It's a real privilege to be a part of this show. I think most of us, got to see the show at some point before we were in it, so I remember the first time I saw it just being blown away as an audience member by the show, so it's such a thrill.
I think being part of this particular show is truly as close as a musical theater actor can feel like being a rock star every night. There are elements of the show that absolutely feel like being in a concert, so it's exhilarating to be part of.
Who loves you, pretty baby? Who's gonna help you through the night? Who loves you?
Everyone has heard these songs because they're so popular that either you grew up with them or you've heard covers of them. People are still redoing these numbers. Everybody knows these songs even if they don't know that they're Four Seasons songs. So that's something that everyone really gets to enjoy. And the people who do know the music didn't know the story of what these guys really went through. So people come for the music and they stay for the behind the scenes.
Kind of gives you four different points of view. At each point in the show, one of the Four Seasons narrates an actual climate season, so to speak. And you really get, a unique point of view on how things went down. And then, it's left to the audience to kind of put it together and figure that the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But that's, I think, the most interesting aspect of the story is how it's told.
Okay, so how familiar and how much did you actually know about the Four Seasons before you guys started this production?
I mean, I grew up in Jersey. I was born and raised there, so this was definitely part of my DNA to some extent. I remember going down to the Jersey Shore, a lot. My parents had all the tapes. I remember being really familiar with a lot of the covers that came over the years. They did "Oh What a Night," I think in the '90s, and Beggin's even popular still today. There's a R&B kind of remake of that, so it's definitely been part of music that I've been familiar with my whole life.
One of the great things about this music, it's really stood the test of time. So, we'll have the older generation will come and say, oh, I grew up with this music. But we feel like we grew up with this music as well because it was still so present, in pop culture. And I mean, you can't watch, a half a dozen movies without coming across one of these songs. So everyone feels like they own a piece of this music.
You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You'd be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much.
So you guys got to meet Frankie and them.
Yeah, Frankie popped into rehearsals, and Bob was, very involved. He was there, the whole week that we were opening up in Philadelphia and, giving lots of great notes, I'm sure.
So what was that like, seeing the guys that you're playing?
It's great. It can be a little unnerving, particularly so in auditions, because you'd be there saying a monologue, describing yourself, but actually you're describing this guy who's sitting 5 feet away from you, and he's a legend, so it's a little disconcerting, but it was great to have Bob there for previews. He gave us a lot of good tips, and he's very passionate about this music and the show, and he helps us out. There's something in it for everybody, and it's a really fun time, and a quarter of the time it's also a rock concert, so there's really something in it for everybody.
It is, definitely an honor and really special when you're part of something that people go crazy for every night.
You're gonna have a great time. Everybody, when they come out and see the show, sometimes people don't know what to expect, but every time, by the end, people are on their feet, they're dancing in the aisles, they're singing along if they know the songs. Sometimes they're singing along when they don't know the songs, and we love it. So come on out and see it.